Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
The smell of roasted turkey filled the dining room, mingling with the faint sweetness of pumpkin pie cooling on the counter. For a moment, it almost felt like a normal holiday, though I knew better. I sat quietly at the far end of the table, observing to my father carve the bird, listening my mother chatting about recipes she hadn't actually cooked, and my 15-year-old sister Tilly sneaking me quick glances as if sensing the tension in the air. I had been paying for everything: electricity, water, internet, even mom's streaming accounts for the last 5 years. They never mentioned it, never thanked me, but I had convinced myself that one day they might look at me with pride. When the plates were passed around and the chatter quieted, my mother's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Peggy," she said, setting her fork down with a sharp clink. "I think it's time you stopped pretending you belong here. You're a burden, ugly, a failure. You need to leave." The room froze. My father looked down at his plate as if the cranberry sauce had become suddenly fascinating. My throat tightened. "Mom," I whispered, my voice cracking, "after everything I've done." "Done," she snapped. "You've done nothing. We're sick of carrying you." Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them see me crumble. I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping the hardwood like a warning. Upstairs, I packed what little was mine: clothes, books, my journal. Each item felt heavier than the last, as though shame itself clung to the fabric. At the staircase, Tilly waited. Her eyes were wide, shimmering with unshed tears. "Peggy, don't go," she whispered. I pulled her into my arms, pressing my face against her hair. "Listen to me, Till. Be careful. Watch everything. Learn from what happened tonight. Don't let them break you like they broke me." She clutched me tighter, trembling, and in that moment, I felt both protector and deserter. My tears finally spilled as I kissed her forehead. Then I walked out into the November night, carrying only a suitcase and the crushing silence of a family that had decided I was no longer theirs. My boyfriend Ethan's apartment was small, with mismatched curtains and a couch that sagged in the middle. But that night it felt like the safest place in the world. I collapsed against him, choking on tears I had held back at the table. He didn't ask questions. He simply stroked my hair until I fell into a restless sleep. The next morning, my shame hardened into resolve. I sat with my laptop on Ethan's kitchen table, logged into every account I had been paying for: electric, water, internet, streaming, and clicked cancel autopay. My finger trembled, but once the last confirmation screen appeared, a strange calm washed over me. They had ordered me out of their lives. Now I would give them exactly that. Days later, the phone calls started. The first was my mother, her voice shrill. "Peggy, the lights are out. Did you forget again?" "No," I said, steady but cold. "I didn't forget. I stopped paying. It was never my job. It was yours." There was silence, then a sharp intake of breath. "You ungrateful little..." I hung up. My hands shook, but a tear rolled down my cheek, this time not from pain but release. By the end of the week, their internet was gone. The water followed. Tilly messaged me one night. "Dad's furious. Mom's crying. They're blaming each other." Her words broke me. I wept quietly in Ethan's arms, torn between guilt and grim satisfaction. When my parents called again, demanding answers, I spoke with a clarity I hadn't known I possessed. "You pushed me out. You can live without me now. That's the choice you made." The line went dead. For the first time in years, so did their hold on me. The first signs of desperation came quietly. Late one evening, my phone buzzed with multiple alerts. Unusual login attempt detected. My mother was trying to break into my bank account. My stomach tightened. They had thrown me away, but now they wanted my money. I changed passwords, added security, even switched banks the next morning. Still, fear lingered like a shadow. Tilly's late-night messages grew darker. "Dad smashed the remote against the wall today. He keeps yelling at Mom for letting you slip away. I'm hiding in my room." I read those words until they blurred. My baby sister, 15, fragile, was caught in the firestorm I had escaped. Tears slid down my cheeks as I typed back, "Hold on, Till. I'll get you out when the time comes, I promise." A week later, the storm crashed into my new life. It was nearly midnight when the pounding on Ethan's apartment door shook the walls. My heart stopped. I knew that fist. I screamed, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. Ethan, half-dressed, opened the door cautiously. My father's wild eyes met mine over Ethan's shoulder, his face twisted with fury. "You think you can turn my daughter against her family?" he bellowed. "Sir, you need to leave," Ethan said firmly, trying to hold the door. But rage propelled him forward. His fist flew, connecting with Ethan's jaw in a sickening crack. Ethan staggered, blood on his lip. The seconds stretched endlessly until flashing lights filled the street. 2 officers stormed the hallway, dragging my father back as he fought like a cornered animal. "You'll regret this, Peggy," he shouted, his voice echoing down the stairwell. I pressed myself against Ethan, tears spilling freely. The safe life I was building had already cracked. My parents' poison had followed me, and I knew this was only the beginning. When the court granted me police escort to retrieve my belongings, I thought it would be simple, a quick visit in and out. But nothing about that house was ever simple. The moment I stepped inside, the air was thick with stale anger. My father's absence left only silence, but my mother stood in the hallway, arms crossed, her lips pursed in cold defiance. The officer at my side nodded gently, urging me to proceed. I climbed the stairs and opened my bedroom door. My chest tightened. The desk was bare, emptier than I had ever seen it. My $2,100 computer I had saved months for, the one where I kept all my projects, my writing, my future, was gone. "Where is it?" My voice shook as I turned to face her. She leaned against the doorframe, eyes glittering with disdain. "I sold it. You didn't need it anymore." The words hit me harder than a slap. I clutched the desk, my knuckles white. "You stole from me. That was mine. You owe us," she hissed. "After everything we did for you, it's the least you could give back." Tears stung my eyes, not from weakness but from fury. I turned to the officer. "I want to press charges." My mother's face twisted, shock breaking through her mask of cruelty. "You wouldn't dare." But I looked straight at her, the tears now streaming freely. "I dare, and I will." As the officer took notes, I gathered what little remained of my things. My hands shook, my heart ached, yet beneath it all was a rising strength. Filing the restraining order later that week felt like drawing a line across my past. They had stolen from me one last time, but this time I fought back. Life slowly steadied, though the cracks my parents left in me still ached. Ethan and I rebuilt piece by piece, filling our small apartment with laughter that once seemed impossible. But my thoughts never strayed far from Tilly. On her 18th birthday, I waited outside the market. She spotted me instantly, clutching a single suitcase, her hands trembling. When she slid into the passenger seat, she whispered, "I thought I'd never get out." I squeezed her hand. "You're safe now. You'll never go back. I rented a small studio for you for the time being." For the first time in years, I saw her smile, a fragile, hopeful curve of lips that made my eyes sting with tears. Months later, word reached me through distant neighbors. The house was gone, foreclosed. My parents had drowned in debts they couldn't pay without me. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. One evening, standing with Tilly on our tiny balcony, she asked softly, "Do you regret it?" I shook my head. "No. Some things have to burn before you can be free." The night air was cool, the city alive below us, and for the first time, freedom felt real. We had lost a family, but we had found ourselves.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.